Okay, I will get us started, and I would like to thank everybody for joining us again this week. I know I say this every week, but this is such an important thing for our community, and I just really appreciate the continued support of the weekly briefings. Joining us, we will have Tim Hall with Henry County, Dale Allward with Sova Health, Leon Tornicki with the City of Martinsville, and Lisa Watkins with the Martinsville-Henry County Chamber of Commerce. So as we get started, Tim, would you like to start us off with what you'd like to update us from the county?
Sure, be glad to, Sharon. Thanks for the chance. Not a whole lot of new stuff from us today, but a couple of things I want to reiterate. Again, we mentioned last week that we were following the State Corporation Commission deadline on disconnections and when to reinstitute those for the PSA. The SEC announced on Monday, I think it was, that they've extended the latest deadline to September the 16th, but pretty much indicated in that correspondence that that would be their last extension. Of course, all this is based on sort of a reaction to the legislation that's pending before the special session right now. But we're going to follow that until the 16th. And it really kind of falls in line with what we normally do way back when it was a normal month. For the PSA, usually our bills would hit mailboxes or online access about the 5th of the month. And then folks had up to the 20th of that month to pay. And then once the 20th arrived, shortly thereafter, we would begin a disconnection process with the folks that were past due. And just to emphasize, we don't disconnect anyone who's a month past due. It has to be 2 months or more. So that kind of falls in with what our regular schedule is going to be. So pending any other changes or pending the legislation, we will plan to extend our disconnection moratorium till the 16th. But then we'll kind of fall back into the regular swing of things. PSA customers, their last day to pay that bill without penalty or without subject to disconnection is the 20th. That's a Sunday this month, so we'll extend it to the 21st, which is the next business day. But at that point, we'll really be back in the regular swing of things on doing disconnections and starting that procedure over again. Again, all this is pending no other changes or whatever changes come out of the General Assembly. But again, the easiest way to get your bill paid is to use somebody else's money, which is what you can do here. We've set up a CARES Act donation to the Department of Social Services. Just if you are if you are behind on your PSA bill or any utility bill, and you're a county resident, call the Social Services Department, and they will work with you to get a check cut for your account directly to the utility company that's affected. So highly urge people to call Social Services, 656-4300, 656-4336, and start the process now. The quicker you start the process to repay that obligation, the more likely there is that you're going to have enough money to pay off that entire obligation. So we highly suggest that people call Social Services and start that process. The only other thing I really have is our small business grants program. We set aside initially $250,000 for that. We had a meeting yesterday to do the most recent applicants, and we will probably exceed that amount of $250,000 based on the ones we dealt with yesterday and the ones we've gotten since. But there will be a deadline on applications for that grants program at the end of business on Tuesday, August 31st. That's next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. That'll be the deadline for any applicants to get in the system and have us evaluate. I will say you got to find your humor where you can get it. And we've gotten several applications from businesses in Henry County, Georgia, which we do not plan to fund based on current circumstance. But some folks just go on and search Henry County and apply for whatever they can find. But we will probably top the 250 mark, which is good. And then we'll stop that program on August 31st. We may reinstitute it. We may do something else with another segment of our community moving forward, but we're still working through that. So I would urge anybody who's not applied and thinks they're eligible and doesn't live in Henry County, Georgia, to apply for that through August the 31st. And I'll just leave you with, mask up, wash up, socially distance, and stay out of big groups. I don't have that many friends, so staying in small groups is good for me. I'm sure it is for Leon as well, because I know he doesn't have many friends.
I got 9.
But we got to do what we got to do, and we just have to do better. We're doing okay. We have to do better. Let's strive for better. So that's all I've got, and I'll be around at the end for questions.
Okay. And Tim, I have a quick question. I think in a previous briefing, you had mentioned payment plans for folks that were behind. Can you kind of maybe tell us how that will work?
Yeah, the way we do it now, Sharon, is that it's on a case-by-case basis. You can call our PSA office, and we'll work on that with you. Pending the legislation that's still alive in the General Assembly, there could be some more parameters to that program based on the legislation as it gets through. So that's really kind of up in the air right now. But if folks want to get that process started, call us. They've got to show some initiative, be proactive about it. We want to work with folks. And if they'll give us a holler on that, or even better than a payment plan, is going to social services and getting that free money. That's what I would do first, is get in that line first and then see what other lines come off of that.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I appreciate you continuing to support our briefings. And Leon, would you like to give us an update from the city?
Sure, an awful lot of similarities between us and the county. Tim mentioned Henry County, Georgia. We've learned there is a Martinsville, Indiana.
We get those calls at the chamber too.
I've got a few calls from Martinsville, Indiana. We don't fund those either. I guess a couple of things for us. The CARES fund that Tim referred to, we've done that also. We actually ended our first round at the end of July. And I think I've mentioned this before. We had somewhere close to 140 applications, and we initially set up a goal of about 250,000 and ended up with, I think, maybe between 410 and 420 before it was all over with. We do intend to advertise a second round. We are actually working on that paperwork now, on the forms. Hope to get those ready by tomorrow, and we will run this program for another month with applications being accepted through close of business on Friday, October the 2nd. A lot of similarities between the first program, but there are a few tweaks. And that information will be posted on the city's website. So again, any business that maybe didn't apply the first round and they want to take a crack at it for the second round, then that will be available. Utility disconnects, we put an awful lot of effort into trying to get this resolved by the end of August. And as of about a week ago, the moratorium on the disconnects was the end of the month. As Tim mentioned, the State Corporation Commission did extend it another 2 weeks, I think, to September 16th. After we reviewed all that internally, we opted to stick with our original date of September 1. Our utility disconnect, the value of our utility disconnect list is growing substantially. And we didn't see a lot to be accomplished by allowing this to go another 2 weeks. We, like the county's program, we're going to work through social services. We have, as of last count, I think 200 or maybe over 200 customers who had contacted our utility billing office to set up a payment plan. We will be forwarding that information to the Department of Social Services, and city customers who are on a payment plan that would like assistance or feel they need assistance can go to social services. There's a very brief, simple application they can fill out. And we're offering, and I think similar to the county's program, up to 50% assistance on the delinquent amount. And I guess an example that I used in an email a few days ago would be if, for example, if we have somebody that hasn't paid a utility bill, let's say in 6 months. And in our case, the utility bill, many people refer to it as their electric bill, but in truth, our utility bill is electric, water, sewer, refuse, and in some cases even telecom, and then all of the related, taxes and things that you add into it. So our utility bill is a complete bill with all those utilities. But back to the example, if somebody has a delinquent utility bill and let's say it's 6 months at $250 a month, well, that's $1,500. If they come to us and work out a payment plan, and right now we're looking at about either a 6 or 9 month payment plan. So what the customer has to do, what they have to agree to do is keep their current bill paid, their current monthly bill paid, And then the delinquency, and in this case of the example, would be $1,500. You simply divide that by 6 months or 9 months, whatever that payment period is, and then they would pay that amount in addition to keeping their monthly bill current. Under the assistance program through social services, the benefit could be up to half of that delinquent amount. So if they have a $1,500 delinquency, they could get as much as $750 applied toward their account through the program at social services. So it's a pretty significant benefit. In the middle of all this, one thing that we are watching carefully, and if you want to look it up, it's actually, I've got it pulled up on my computer. It's Senate Bill 5118. And this is going through the committee and review now, but it basically mandates a moratorium on disconnections of utilities. And there is some conversation about this going out to as far as 24 months. There are some interesting conditions in there that it can't exceed a certain percentage of, adjusted income or whatever those parameters are, but it looks to be very complicated and very cumbersome for us. Extending out to 24 months is pretty substantial, and it's going to create a lot of work for our utility office if we have to develop payment plans. It's going to go 24 months from now, basically goes into the next fiscal year. So it's going to carry us 9 months through the current year, 12 more months through the next fiscal year. So it's whatever the math is there, 21 months. So 24 months, if it goes 24 months, could be even into the next fiscal year. So we're looking at a very, very cumbersome thing here, and we're keeping our eye on it. Hopefully it won't pass. I think the feeling is that it might, or in some form of what's being presented, it might pass. So if that passes, then all bets are off, because we're going to have to pretty much go back to the drawing board and comply with whatever we're required to comply with. But as of now, that's where we are. We continue to have a few cases here in the building. Some of our employees have been in contact with people who have tested positive, so we're having to quarantine employees. We still, throughout the building, we're requiring masks. People that come into the front of this building still have to get their temperature taken and fill out a questionnaire. So we're continuing to do those kinds of things. And my guess is until whatever point a vaccine is developed and this whole situation changes substantially, we will continue with those types of protective measures, at least for the foreseeable future. So in a nutshell, that's where we are. I appreciate the opportunity to update everybody.
Thank you, Leon, and we appreciate your continued support of the briefings. And we'll move on from SOVA Health. We have Dale Allward, and I believe Kelly Fitzgerald may also be joining him. Dale, how are you today?
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity to share. I don't have any specific updates. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about our team here just a bit, and thank the community and the folks on this call and those that are listening via the various media forums for what everybody's doing to try to keep us all safe and make sure we're trying to do our best for our fellow man. Our team here, I've talked about this multiple times, the resiliency of our team and the calling that everybody has in the four walls of this hospital, helping our community members, is no less than remarkable. When you go into a healthcare profession, you go into it with the mindset that you're called to help people and help people get better. But you never plan to go into it with a pandemic of this nature kind of driving everything you do day to day. So I just wanted to publicly say thanks to our team again, our heroes that are working on the front lines here every day. We just rounded, I did spend about 90 minutes before this call rounding across the hospital, delivering ice cream, trying to give a little bit of cheer to folks, and I just, person after person as we're walking around today, thankful, doing what they do. We're still making sure, I wanted to make sure the community's aware we're making sure we have plenty of PPE. Hospital is safe to come to for your care, taking every precaution to make sure that patients are safe, making sure we're taking care of the patients and the staff. We do still have a limited visitation policy, and you can find that on our website under the COVID preparation page. However, we are making exceptions, a little more visitation for exceptions, and those are listed end-of-life type situations, OB, pediatrics. So we make some exceptions, and then we do case by case if we have folks that have dire situations that they're facing. So that's probably one of the toughest parts for our team as well. Knowing that family, friend relationship helps heal is tough for our team. So keep all those folks in your thoughts and prayers. And I just want to say thanks to the community for everything everybody's doing in participation and folks doing the right thing. The masking, the sanitation, the social distancing is an invaluable comment. Frankly, it really does help prevent and protect folks. So I would ask that everybody just keep doing that, doing what you're doing. We do have folks in-house, obviously positive patients in-house. We've been pretty steady back and forth over the last 2 or 3 weeks on our numbers. We've had spikes and valleys. We've been fairly steady, and we are managing all those patients appropriately. Nothing better and more fun than watching and celebrating a patient that's leaving the hospital that's recovered. We do those celebrations routinely, so we're very happy when those occur. We've had several of those. So nothing really crazy to talk about today. Just I want to reemphasize thanks to our team, thanks to this team and the community for helping us and working with us, and that we are keeping the hospital safe, and you can come to us for care. I don't want folks, we have had situations, I believe, where folks have really waited a little bit too long, and then we're really working hard to make sure we help people because they've gotten to a point where they should have been under care earlier, but they're a little worried or concerned. So I want folks not to be concerned. We will take care of you, we'll protect you, keep you safe, and do our best to make you well. So pretty much that was it, and I'll wait for questions once we're done. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dale. And I'm just going to reiterate that, yes, the hospital is very safe. I recently had to go in for a test, and you guys are taking every precaution, and it is a good feeling. But, you know, I'm sure people listen and hear you say that. So I just wanted to kind of join in and say I've been there personally, and you guys are definitely taking every precaution to make sure that folks are safe when they come in the hospital. So I want to thank you for that, but then also thank you for your continued support of our weekly briefings.
Absolutely. Thanks.
And you're welcome. Lisa, if you'd like to give us an update on what's going on with small business and some of the grants and things that are available to help our community.
Sure. Well, in addition to the great support from both the city and the county for small businesses and individuals, so I just want to take a moment to say thank you to you all for recognizing that our community has a lot of needs and helping to meet those. In addition to those grants and the Harvest Grant that's available as well for businesses who qualify in our community, the Go Virginia Region 3 has been awarded what's called a Bridge to Recovery program grant. And so businesses in our area can apply for, it's a matching grant. So it's a dollar for dollar match up to $20,000 in funding to go towards a supplier or service provider. Basically, the way that grant works is the company who needs the assistance would pay their half, and then the grant would pay the other half directly to the supplier. What I really encourage suppliers in our area to do is to get on the approved vendor list, because that's the only way that companies can utilize that funding to be able to help you. And looking for suppliers of PPE, personal protective equipment, or companies that might modify a facility or equipment to be able to produce that. And then service providers who help companies overcome COVID challenges, such as accounting, legal, human resources, janitorial services that provide deep cleaning. So I know with some of the federal grants, the accounting is quite cumbersome because all of the receipts and different reporting that's required for the federal grants. So some of those costs that might be additional cost with your accounting firm could be offset with this grant. So if anyone's interested in applying for that or in applying to be a vendor or making sure that we get your vendor that you want to use that's in the Go Virginia region, which is quite large, all the way up to Mecklenburg County, we need you to contact me at the chamber, please. Contact Lisa at the chamber, and you can reach us at 276-632-6401. And my personal email address is lisa@mhcchamber.com. And so we'd really like to get folks in our area on that list, and also help you to utilize yet another opportunity to help you to overcome some of the COVID issues that you might be having with your business. There's $925,000 is the total amount of the grant. And so a large portion of that is available to businesses, but we need you to apply as soon as possible. So we'd be absolutely thrilled to help you with that or any of the other funding opportunities that are available. So thank you.
Thanks. And Lisa, I'll have the information for the grant you were just speaking of on our website by the close of today.
Okay, thank you. And I do have one more quick update. CPAG, the Chamber's Partnership for Economic Growth, was awarded a Department of Community Housing and Community Development, DHCD, grant to help promote our businesses in the Uptown Business District. And as well, we are also combining that with just recognizing the wonderful work that our first responder heroes have been doing. So Sova Health, thanks for being the first to sign up to allow us to include you in that recognition. And we just truly appreciate all of the efforts that you all do, and everyone on the call, including media, for helping us to get the word out on such important issues in the community. So thanks for participating.
Thank you, Lisa. And again, thank you to all of our speakers. And we're going to switch over now and let our media ask questions if they have some. So Charles, we'll start with you. See if you have any questions for anyone.
Yes, my questions are going to go, I like for Tim and Leon. And I know that they're not law enforcement, but one of the things that's happened, we've seen this week is that churches seem to be a big part of our spread, and most of the health officials have kind of admitted that they haven't looked at those areas. I know because they're sensitive, but as leaders, do y'all think that that's something that we need to focus on a little bit as the churches? Tim and Leon?
I'll go first. I don't think necessarily just specific to the churches. I think it's to any gathering where you don't follow the social distancing guidelines. It could be a family picnic. It could be a birthday party. It could be a funeral. It could be a church service. It doesn't matter where you are. You're not insulated anywhere. You're not guaranteed to be insulated. You need to wear a mask. You need to socially distance. I talked to somebody earlier today, and this is a pretty good idea. And if I can figure out how to use my smartwatch, I'm going to do this. She told me that she sets a timer on her watch for every 10 minutes when she is in a gathering. And when that goes off, she leaves that gathering. And she said sometimes she's left it in the middle of a conversation, but her watch goes off and she says, I'm gone. And she leaves. My wife may want to do that, maybe to her benefit, but maybe something as simple as that. But I don't think it's specific to churches or religious services. We just need everybody to understand. Wearing a mask, socially distance, wash your hands, avoid large groups. 4 pretty simple steps no matter where you are. And if we can get more people to follow those 4, I think we'll lead ourselves out of this quagmire that we're in.
Are we doing any better?
The numbers keep going up. Maybe that's because more people are aware and going to get tested. I don't know. Anecdotally, when I'm out, Charles, I'm the guy that looks and counts. And I think we're doing better. We're not perfect. No one is. No community is. But I think we're doing better, and I'm hopeful that that will continue.
I would agree with Tim. I like the 10-minute rule. As many meetings as Tim and I are in. And I love that. So might start that immediately. Maybe that'll be rule number 5. But thinking of Tim's comments and the list of some of the problem areas, I would have to say that when you look at gatherings, probably churches, funerals might be more vulnerable than others because of the predominance of an elderly population that you see in churches and funerals. And those are a higher risk group of people. But I think certainly, areas like that in any gatherings, any situations where there are groups of people, whether it's at a store or a church, a social event, anything like that, people they just need to be aware of their surroundings, of the seriousness of this issue, pay attention to where they are, how close they are to people, wear masks, do all those things. And it's just, it's just critical. I think, unfortunately, cases continue to happen. And I know there's some hot spots that have occurred in our area. But again, it's just a matter of common sense and people doing the right thing to protect themselves and particularly to protect other people around them and their family members. So, if people will just continue to follow those common sense things, we'll find ourselves through this at some point. But until that happens, I think we're going to see cases continue and maybe even at a high level.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, Charles?
I'm good.
Okay. Ron, do you have questions for anyone?
Yes. First of all, again, thanks for having us on and giving us the privilege to do this. And I think I have something for everyone on the panel. I'm going to start with Tim. The accounts that are in arrears, making plans to work out some kind of a payment plan. I know the deadline is the 16th. What would be the deadline to do that in the county?
To set up a payment plan?
Yes.
Anytime, I would say sooner the better. But, if we don't have a payment plan in place, or if we haven't had any correspondence or communication, then, we'll start our process as I outlined earlier. But I would suggest folks try to make those arrangements as soon as they can. And as Leon talked about the Senate bill, and I'll echo what he said, that's going to be highly problematic for us. We have a very small staff in our PSA office. We have 2 pay windows, and those are the ones who interact the most with the public. But if we're placed in a situation where we have to verify someone's level of income and then do the math and figure out is $45 a month less, or is 4% of your monthly income less, that's gonna be hugely problematic for us. I'm fairly certain that some sort of legislation will get through along those lines. I've expressed our concerns to our representatives in Richmond and through the Virginia Association of Counties, but I would anticipate something's coming. So it's a long answer for you, Ron, and I apologize, but anybody who wants to set up a payment plan needs to call us as soon as they can, knowing, as we know internally, and as Leon has said, these plans could change drastically after the legislation is birthed, if you will. But the sooner the better. You get ahead of it, you get ahead of the curve. The sooner you call social services, the sooner you have access to that money. So I would not dawdle at this point, because at some point disconnections are going to be reinstituted. Just the details are going to be worked out. And if you wait until that happens and then try to react to it, it may not be to your best interest as a customer to do that, just because there's so many other people in line as well. So yeah, call us now if you want. The legislation may change what we're going to do, but for now, the earlier you get with us and try to work something out, the better.
Thanks. Leon, I know Monday is the deadline for the city. And I know, correct me if I'm wrong, the other night you mentioned that you have accounts that are in arrears as far as November of last year. How do you help those individuals if they need help?
Same way they can, we've always extended the option to delinquent customers to come and work with us on a payment plan. You're correct, we actually did have customers that were delinquent through last winter that in reality probably would have been on a cutoff list around March of early this year. We don't cut people off during the middle of the winter, obviously. and then we're caught up in these series of extensions. So we will work with people anytime. Even though we're going to begin disconnections on Monday, we have a pretty long list, and my guess, as soon as that starts happening, word's going to get around pretty quick that, hey, the city is actually cutting customers off. And we will work with people on a payment plan at any time. At the end of the day, our goal is not to disconnect customers. It's to keep people with their utilities. And the other side of that is, we want to see some effort for the city to get paid for the costs that we incur in running those operations. So it's twofold. We want to keep our customers happy and keep their service, and we want to, get paid for the service that we're rendering. So we will work with people almost to any extent you could imagine to try to make that happen. And even once we begin disconnecting customers, we will always leave that option on the table. But sometimes that's what you have to do to get people's attention, that there is a process, we have to follow it. And that sometimes it takes those kinds of efforts to get people's attention.
All right, thank you. And Dale, can you give us an update on the morale at the hospital?
So it's generally high, but I will tell you, given we're 8-9 months in, we have peaks and valleys. So if we weren't human beings, we probably wouldn't have peaks and valleys. But because everybody's a human being first, and that coupled with the fact that this is such a challenging disease, and folks innately that do what we do want to help people and are trained to help people and make people better. So when you're facing something that you don't know what the end result's going to be because it's so new and you're trying to understand how to treat it and take care of it, that's a little bit frustrating for folks. So we have had, our stress levels have been up, a little bit of anxiety, I guess, at some levels, but we are working to make sure that folks are taken care of. It is a struggle, I will tell you, 8 or 9 months in, it's a struggle that we're still in this, but we talk to folks and we reinforce folks, keep rotations going with staff so folks get relief and rest. So there's more anxiety than we had obviously in January because we're still in it. But I would say overall, everybody's come together, everybody's pulled together. The teamwork and the team effort is remarkable. If you could see what we see every day inside the four walls of this hospital, where folks are pulling together to make sure people are taken care of appropriately and safe, it's really quite remarkable. They truly are heroes. So challenges, and we have peaks and valleys, but I'd say overall, everybody's doing great with some ups and downs here and there that we try to work through.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron. And Bill, do you have questions for anyone?
Yes, a few. Thank you for letting me be here. Kelly, I think it was last week, you had mentioned that there were 15 COVID patients in Martinsville and I think 20 in Danville. Either you or Dale, can you speak to how many patients you have currently today in both of those facilities?
Yeah, so we're still in that same range of about 25 to 35 between two campuses. As of this week, we're in the ballpark of 10, around 10 in Martinsville and 24 in Danville.
Okay.
So it's staying around that 25 to 35 range between the two facilities. It has been, so.
Thank you. Leon, what was the number of that Senate bill?
I'm sorry, what bill?
Did you give the number of that Senate bill that is being?
Oh, it's Senate Bill 5118.
5118. Okay.
Yeah.
This is for you and for Tim. And let me say the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong or tell me if I'm understanding correctly. Tim, you're saying that you want people to set up a payment plan, but the first course of action, you'd like for them to contact social services right away to see about getting that money. And Leon, at the city council meeting last night, if I understood you correctly, you said that city residents absolutely had to already be under a payment plan before the option for social services money would come about. Am I understanding that correctly, or is that not the case?
That is correct. We've made efforts to reach out to those who are delinquent, and I guess our thinking is if citizens and customers who are delinquent won't reciprocate and reach out to us and try to work with us to try to get their utilities covered, I'm not sure how much more out on a limb we want to go to try to offer assistance. I mean, all they have to do is contact our office, work out a payment plan, and then that opens the doors to waive the late fees and to possibly look at assistance through social services. If they aren't willing to do that, I'm not sure how much more we can do. And we've made every option available that we can to reach out to citizens and to set that up. So we have to put a little responsibility back on the customer, on the citizen to reach out and do that. But yeah, you're correct. In order for delinquent customers to be eligible for assistance through the social services program, they have to come in and set up a payment plan with us so that we know that they are on a path to recover and pay their plan, to pay their delinquency.
Tim?
We're not set up that same way for a couple of reasons. One, as Leon has said, the city has its own electric company and has the wherewithal to do that with all of its customers. The county money that's been set aside is for any utility that serves Henry County, which would include AEP, Southwest Virginia Gas. We don't have access to their records, so we did not feel like that was something that we could do. So the way we've set our program up is take your most recent bill that shows your delinquent amount, convey that to social services. They'll verify it with the particular utility, and they'll write the check to that utility. So the difference between city and county is we don't manage everything. We only manage our PSA, which is a different, and a lot of folks may not understand this. The Public Service Authority is not part of the Henry County government. It is a separate entity all on its own. Self-sufficient, has its own board, that sort of thing. The only thing is that some of us within the building work for both entities, and I'm one of those. But ours is a little different than, because we don't have the city's whole basket of goodies right there. We're just one part of it. So we made the decision to make our CARES money open to any utility customer within the county. We felt like that was just the simplest way to do it.
Great. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions, Bill?
No, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Well, I do want to extend a big thank you again to all of our panel speakers and also to our media. Again, this is an important thing that you guys are doing to make sure that we get the correct information out to our community. And I thank you much, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thank
Bye.
you. Have a good one.